The cornerstone for the White House was laid on October 13th of 1792. And for the first decade that we had presidents in the United States, they worked out of Philadelphia. So George Washington never lived in the White House, and John Adams started living in Philadelphia, that then moved to the White House after it was completed. And it's not like the White House that was built in 1792 is the White House that exists today exactly. Um, it was burned completely by the British in 1814, and all of the belongings were like looted by the British. They also rebuilt the entire thing. Well, they added the West Wing in like 1902, and then they rebuilt the entire inside during the Truman administration. So they like took all the wood that had been on the inside as the framing out and replaced it with steel beams during Truman's. But this is the day that the beginning of the White House was like made. And there was all this debate when it was being put together about like what style they wanted and what the kind of purpose was. If it was meant to be a palace or if it was meant to be just living quarters, the degree to which they wanted it to be kind of over the top. And the thing that kind of comes through over the years is that whoever was living there at the time had a lot of control up until a certain point. Jacqueline Kennedy was the last one to like really redo the White House. And at that point, they were like, this thing where we've just been letting people redo things and just sell off belongings from the White House and stuff seems like maybe we'll regret that. They made it a historical space, and they made an agreement with the Smithsonian that anything they didn't want out of the White House moving forward, they would offer to the Smithsonian, and that they could keep it for historical purposes. But the White House has existed and been home to every president since, essentially. The thing that sticks out to me about the White House is a story about John Adams. So, John Adams wrote to his wife, Abigail Adams, often, and he had gone to stay for the very first night in the White House on November 1st of 1800. And he went and stayed, and the next day he wrote her a letter, as he was apt to do. And he has this quote in the letter where he says, "I pray heaven to bestow the best blessings on this house and to all who inhabit it hereafter. May none but honest and wise men ever rule under this roof." I'm sure they had an actual dedication for the White House and all of that, but that line in the John Adams letter to Abigail always seemed to me the actual dedication of the White House.